This is curly dock. This is common plantain and the seed stalk. This is some variety of sorrel. You can tell by the heart-shaped leaves that fold. They crease in the middle. I believe that's yellow wood sorrel. And this is chicory. It gets a blue flower. That's not a very good example. This is Virginia creeper, which is poisonous. Some consider it a look-alike to poison ivy. A lot of times it'll have these shiny leaves, and sometimes they'll be in sets of 3. This is clover. It has these little bands on the leaves called chevrons. That's some variety of clover. Probably red clover. There's the flower. It's got a purplish tint to it. These are raspberry canes. They have a white powder on the stem. Leaves of 3, but they are toothed leaves, so they are not poison ivy. This is staghorn sumac. It has a velvety stem up near the fruit, which are those big red clusters. And these would be great right now for making sumac tea, which is really good. Those berry clusters are red, and each little berry is covered with tiny hairs. And if you squish those berries between your fingers and touch it to your mouth, you'll taste the citrus. It's got vitamin C or ascorbic acid in it or something like that, but it's supposed to be high in vitamin C, and it's actually really good. It makes a really good tea. I'm actually going to pick a few of these. This is another shrub that I'm not sure what it is. It gets these little dark purple, almost black berries on it that have a somewhat red stem. Before they're ripe, they have a reddish yellow look to them. I don't know if you can see that in the video, or if you know what this shrub is. The branch has a somewhat white spotted look to it. If you know what that is, post a comment on my channel and let me know if you would. I'd appreciate it. I find a lot of these, and I'd like to find out if it's an edible fruit. Here's another look at that berry that I'm unable to identify. If you know what this is, let me know. Post a comment on my YouTube channel, or if you have an idea what it is, give me something to go on. It's pretty abundant in southern Michigan here. I'd like to find out if that's an edible fruit. Thanks. This is common elderberry, the dark berried version, but it looks like the birds have beat me to it. Just a few days ago these weren't even ripe. Now they're getting ripe, but it looks like the birds or something has already ate most of them. But this is an edible fruit when it's totally ripe. And I think they taste pretty good. Here's a little better look at the nightshade. This is the most common one I find around here. Purple flower with a little yellow center. The berries start out green. Somewhat reminds me of a miniature tomato. I've always known these to be poisonous, and I don't know if this is a poisonous variety or not, but I've heard some people say the ripe berries are edible, but I don't know about that. I wouldn't trust it. And this is a closer look at the common elderberry, and they're just starting to get ripe. See, these dark purple ones are ripe, but these green ones are not. And supposedly the whole plant is poisonous except for these ripe dark purple berries, which I will eat a few raw. If I'm out and about. But this branch has a hollow pith, and you can hollow it out real easy. This is what was traditionally used here for making spiles for tapping maple syrup. They would hollow that out and stick it in a tree and hang a bucket on it. Pretty neat. And the branch is very distinct as well. It's got these little warts all up and down it. That's a good way to spot it in the off season when it's not leafed out and has fruit on it. These are the leaves, finely toothed leaves, pinnately compound leaves. That's a good one to look out for. These are wild roses. They get a small rose on them, and after the rose goes away they get these little rose hips. The wild roses have little bitty rose hips, but in the fall these will turn red and get a little softer, and they're pretty yummy to munch on. They're full of seeds, but they're really high in vitamin C, and they have quite a few different uses. Good plant to look out for. Thorny stem. I eat those as a trail nibble. These are wild strawberries. It's too late for the strawberries. They usually fruit late May, early June, but you can find them growing abundantly. They're a lot smaller than a store-bought strawberry, but they're much sweeter, and if you find a big patch you can pick quite a few. More yellow wood sorrel. That's a pretty yummy trail nibble actually. Has a lemony flavor. A little bit sour, somewhat like curly dock, but I think maybe a little sweeter. But it has oxalic acid, so I guess you're supposed to watch how much of it you eat. A lot of other plants here that I don't know what they are. I'm sure a good number of them are edible or have some use.